Welcome to the SCLD podcast, where we talk about all the things you can do and find at the library.
Hello, I am Erin Dodge, the Communications Specialist here at Spokane County Library District. With me today are Stacy Goddard and Mary Ellen Brax, both Public Services Managers, which is a fancy word for like head librarian, sort of. They have teams of librarians. They're also here with the library. And today we're talking about all of the fun, exciting, informational activities and programs and events that are happening at the library this February through May. And we have a new issue of Engage coming out with all of that information. And welcome, Stacy and Mary Ellen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's always great to have you guys. You always have fun stuff to share and lots of good information. So let's start with the little ones.
Yes.
So our early learning programs and activities for our early learners. Can you kind of define that age range for folks?
Yes. So early learning is basically from birth to 8 years old.
Okay.
And so we do have regular programs weekly for the birth to 5-year-olds.
Yes.
So those are the ones that are mostly at home during the day.
Right.
So we have our play and learn story times that we have. And we have usually a story time every place, Tuesday through Friday. You can find a story time somewhere in the district.
There was a family walking out as I was walking in this morning, and they were just excited after having been in story time.
We had a big group, considering there was snow and ice on the ground this morning that came in. So that was exciting to see. But we have them starting from babies, and then which is 0 to 18 months.
Okay.
And then we have toddler story time, which is 18 to 36 months.
Okay.
So kind of that 2-year-old range there. And then we have our preschool story time, which is for children 3 to 5 years old.
Okay.
And then we have our family story time.
Right.
And so a lot of our smaller libraries do have the family story time. It's for ages 2 to 5 and their families.
Okay.
So, we'll have babies at that one because they're siblings, and sometimes there may be an older child there, but we do the family story times there where our population is a little bit smaller and we have less people coming.
And we even have story times on Link, our mobile library.
Yes, that's right.
So they have scheduled stops, and at some of those stops, they have a story time plan for folks. So,
right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. So our play and learn story times are designed where we do a traditional library story time first, and then we have time afterwards to play.
And that's the play part.
And the purpose of the play is so that kids have an opportunity to learn to interact with each other, to share. A lot of times they're practicing some of the things they might have learned in a book.
Right.
So it's really that play is how children learn. So that's why it's so important to give them the opportunity to play, and then to play with different people that, they get to meet new friends.
Yeah.
They learn how to share.
Oh, yeah.
Which is always a big thing.
That is always a big thing.
Taking turns. Which are all important getting ready for kindergarten skills.
Right.
And we do a lot of things with STEM. So science, technology, engineering, and math. We usually have some type of an art project even, or crayons out.
Yeah. So speaking of that, there's I think Play with Science coming up.
Yeah. So we have two extra early learning programs.
Play with Math.
In addition to our story times, where it's just a play program.
Okay.
But we're doing like math for one of them.
Right.
And then the other one will be science based.
Oh, okay.
And so they'll come in and there'll be all sorts of different activities, but we'll also have our play and learn toys out that coincide with, this would be working on math skills, or this might be working on science skills, which for kids, that's all intertwined.
Right. What's an example of a science skill for a little one?
So observation is one.
Okay.
So a lot of times, just a child may say, "Oh, the plant looks really spiky." And, and it's like, yeah, that's right. That is a spiky plant.
Okay.
And you can say, well, how does it feel? Or,
I see.
A lot of times it's the curiosity that comes out.
Wonderful.
And we don't really want to squash that curiosity, because that's what it motivates them to learn and to ask questions.
Right.
And so asking questions is actually a great science skill.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. And then for kids who are a little bit older, we have some other stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
I see reading and art. They saw a cat, so there's going to be like reading of a book, and then they create art. Is that?
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
That does sound fun.
and we really like to do the art too, because a lot of times that's the thing that gets cut first in the school. So
Yeah.
to give kids the opportunity to play with art, you're building those cognitive skills. They find out what works and what, they may have to try something else. There's a lot
Yeah.
of problem solving.
Well, and they mix colors. I remember my son.
Science.
We came to an art program here at the library, and he just started putting all the colors together, and he got just a big brown painting. Which, there was one point where I was like, no, and then I was like, nope, he's going to learn this, so I'm just going to let him go for it, and he still loved the painting.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You need to know how to make brown.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. There's a lot of brown in the world.
Yeah.
All right. Other stuff going on for kids.
We have the Star Wars Jedi Academy, which will be fun. We're doing that at, I think, all of our libraries except for maybe Fairfield.
Okay.
So that one, they're going to get to do all sorts of things related with, Star Wars and just have a lot of fun together and doing that. So we're really excited about that program.
That's fun.
Coming out. And then there's even one for leprechaun traps. And
Oh, yeah.
So that should be a fun one where they get to experiment and create a trap. And so that's
Very cool.
A lot of science in that one right
Yes.
there.
And we do almost every month we have Lego free play at most libraries.
Yeah.
Maybe not everyone, but a lot of them.
A lot of them.
And what am I seeing here? Oh, for tweens, I'm seeing some STEM, some rubber band racers,
Yes.
some roller coasters. People love to do the marble roller coasters where you, yeah, those are great.
And so, the rubber band racers will be at most of our libraries.
Okay.
And so that would be a fun one to take a look at and see if that works. And you can go to any library.
And there's like
remember.
experimentation with that one, right?
There
Trying to get
is.
it to
Yeah.
work the way you think it should.
Yes.
Awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I know.
Can we just do it? Let's maybe we should just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then and there's lots of other STEM stuff going
Right.
on. I mean, we have a jam-packed 3 months of stuff for everybody. And it's especially fun when your kids are kind of bored indoors. Let them be entertained and active and engaged indoors at the library, and not kind of, sometimes at home it's just nothing sounds good because they've done it all.
Right.
Well, and cabin fever is a real thing with the weather that we've had. And
That's
it's
true.
too cold to be outside.
Yeah.
Or hopefully by now it isn't.
And hopefully by spring, it hopefully, it's not too cold. It might get wet, but we'll see. We'll see what spring brings. And for teens, I saw a Star Wars related program. It has to do with the temporary tattoos.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So if you've got somebody who's, really, saying, I want a tattoo, the temporary tattoo is a fun way to go.
Yeah.
And
it's called Designing a Star Wars Temporary Tattooine.
yeah.
Oh, that's
So clever.
amazing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And there's another temporary tattoo program. So they're at various libraries.
Yes.
Yeah. So that looks like a lot of fun. All right. Let's see. Oh, virtual reality.
Yes. So those are registrations. You have
Yes.
to register 20-minute increments, but that's
And you can kind of do it as a family, I think, if I'm correct. I know that it's for tweens, teens, and adults. So I think if you're a parent and you want to try it and your kids want to try it, you have like 20 minutes for all of you to just sort of get in there and try it. So
Yeah, I think that would be a good first experience going into it.
I've not tried it.
I have not either.
I haven't either.
Look at us.
I know.
We need to all sign up for it.
But you're right, Mel. Like, this is a great way to find out. Like, if the kids are saying, "Oh, we need a VR," I don't even know what the setup is called.
It's an Oculus something.
Okay,
Yeah.
not Oculus Prime. That's something else.
No, that's
Okay.
something else.
Okay.
It's like I can't. No, I'm not even going to guess. It's Oculus. That's all I know.
So this would be a good way for families to kind of road test it, if you will,
That's
and
a-
see if it's something they want to invest in.
That's a good
for
idea.
give
Yeah.
it a shot and be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. We need one. Or we'll just keep going to the library
Yeah.
when they have programs.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's pretty spendy for those. Yeah. All right. I'm going to shift to business.
Okay.
And some things going on, not just for businesses, but for people who like to frequent local businesses. And so, Stacy, tell us about Your team is the business librarians and career development librarians, and they put to kind of work with, and some of the other librarians work with different communities, different local small businesses, and those communities, and get people really engaged with their local small businesses. So tell us what's coming up and what your team has planned.
So we are super excited because this is the first year that we're going to be focusing on National Small Business Month, which is the entire month of May, something that's sponsored by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And some folks might remember that we did Small Business Saturday for years.
Yes.
And that was a great program and a really nice way to rally around our local small businesses. Right. But over the past couple of years, we realized there's so much going on in the communities already.
Yeah, a lot of people are really, there's a lot to do around that time of year.
There sure is. Yeah. So we sunsetted that and started really planning for this, and we're very excited. And we are working with small businesses in several communities. We are using the same 4 communities that we did with Small Business Saturday.
Okay.
So that's going to be Cheney, Deer Park, Medical Lake, and Millwood.
Okay.
I say I'm alphabetical because I'm a librarian.
Well, and Millwood is Argonne Library,
Yes,
so if you did it by library, that would be first. But yes,
true.
that's okay.
You can do it either way. That's correct. And so we're working with local businesses to do some programming. For example, there's a business called Fitness Fanatics in Millwood, and it's got all sorts of hiking and biking and outdoorsy things that I do not do because the son and I don't get along. But they're going to be doing a program for us on how to change a bicycle tire.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of a basic, like everyone should know how to do this, especially if you're out on the trail. So we're really excited about that. There's a yoga studio out in Cheney called the Wellness Vault, and they're going to be doing a yoga program for us as well.
Nice.
And we've got a bunch of other fun things happening. But where community members can get involved is we'll have a giveaway of sorts where the entry form is a simple come in and tell us which local business is your favorite and why.
Okay.
So just a couple minutes of your time. And once you fill that out and put it in our little submission box, we'll collect them. I think we start mid-April. I actually wrote the dates down. April 15th through May 22nd.
Okay.
And then we'll draw winners out of those entries on the 23rd of May, and those winners will receive a $50 gift card to their small business, the small business of their choice in that community.
Okay, so you come into the library, there's a little form, and what all is entailed? You put in like your name.
You put in your name and someone to contact you,
okay,
just so that we can tell you, yes, Erin, you won.
So,
yes,
I can't win because I work in the library. Got it.
Exactly, none of us will win. But using Cheney as an example, maybe the mason jar is your favorite because
the mason jar is pretty great. But okay, let's
right, and they have really great, cookies, and that's why.
Sure. So I would write on here the mason jar. It has the best cookies in Cheney, for example.
Right.
Sorry to any other bakers out there in Cheney, but that would be my
correct.
What I put it, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Or they've got the friendliest baristas, or it could be whatever. They're the only place I know that has X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Fill that out. Turn it in. There's also going to be a spot for you to say, yes, I would love to share this testimonial.
Oh, okay.
So if somebody really is passionate and wants, is willing to talk with us more about that, we're happy to talk with folks.
Nice.
And then we do the prize drawing. They'll get to, if you won't win this prize, but if
I was a person on the street and didn't work for the library and I said, I love the mason jar.
And you were selected,
and I was
then
selected.
You would get your $50 gift card to the mason jar. So
that's awesome.
And then just with those 4 communities, if your favorite place is the mason jar, please go to the Cheney Library, which is in that community, to submit your form.
It's going to make sense that you've got to, it's the community that you're submitting it in is the community that you're
correct
giving your testimonial about.
And then the other thing we're planning to do is not attaching any names to it, but we will be sharing that feedback with the businesses. So
nice.
We can say, we had 5 comments from participants in our contest mason jar that said that you were their favorite business and here's what they had to say. So we kind of show the businesses a little bit of love and let them know they're appreciated.
That's nice. That's great.
Do you have a green thumb? Are you new to gardening? No matter your skill level, every season is gardening season at the library. We have an extensive collection of gardening books and online resources that can plant the seeds for new ideas and help you cultivate your indoor and outdoor projects. We also have seed libraries. Our Take and Give seed libraries are currently accepting donations of vegetable, herb, and flower seeds. Bring your heirloom seeds into a library to share with other gardeners for spring planting. Learn more today at scld.org.
Was there anything else you want to talk about business?
Real quick,
Yes.
I just wanted to highlight, because I know this is a topic that's been on the top of a lot of people's minds lately. We do have monthly SCORE workshops.
That's right.
And the topics are great every month, but I really wanted to mention the March workshop, which is Chat GPT for your small business.
Oh.
So there's been a lot in the news and everything about using AI. And I'm still not really clear on how it works. So, but it can be really a time saver, especially for small businesses. You can use ChatGPT to set up a bunch of things automatically. So this workshop would be a good way to get an introduction to that and find out how it might benefit your business.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And for any of these programs where they have registration, like our SCORE business workshops, go to scld.org/events. And that'll take you to our event calendar. And then, especially for the SCORE, you register on a SCORE site, but we've got the link right in the program. So that's the easiest way for us to get you there, is to go to the calendar, click on the event you want to register for, and that link will take you to the registration page. So
exactly.
Yeah. Other events you register right in the calendar. So depends on who's given the event and how we've got it worked out. So
right on.
Yeah. Something that we've had a few questions about.
Yes.
From online social media and stuff, we've been getting in people saying, when or will you be having free AARP tax aid?
And the answer is, of course,
yes.
we will. So we have been hosting AARP tax help for more years than I care to count.
Since before I started.
I was going to say, it's been a very long time. And, we had a couple bumpy years with COVID, but they are back in full force. And that is a service that's completely free. It's open to everyone. People think it can only be for seniors because AARP is in charge of it, but it's available to anyone who needs
teens.
help.
If you have summer job and you have to, basically anybody who has federal income tax, they have to.
I actually went in there
almost anybody, because there's a little bit, if you have complicated, like if you own a business, I think they can't help with that.
Correct.
Does that sound right? Okay.
It's personal income. It's your personal return. And if things are super complicated, they may refer you to someone else. But I made an appointment last year because I had a question about something new I had done with some investment thing. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to get in trouble. So I better ask a question. The sites are all by appointment only.
Okay.
The appointment line is open, and the number to call is 509-353-4851. And our locations are the Argonne Library, Spokane Valley, Cheney, and Moran Prairie.
Yes.
When you call the appointment line, you'll also have the options for the other two locations, which happen to be the Northeast Community Center.
Okay.
And then also the City of Medical Lake, their City Hall. So
all right.
If we've got residents of Medical Lake listening, you don't have to go very far.
Excellent.
So at some point we may end up having that in our library, but for now it's at the City Hall. So free. So please take advantage of it. It's just started this week and goes through April 15th.
Okay. And if you're kind of want to get a preview of what dates that's happening, we do have it on our calendar. Again, you do have to call to make the appointment, but you can go to scld.org/tax-aid, and that will take you, just pull up all those tax aid programs for you on the calendar, and you can kind of say, oh yeah, I can do it in March. Let's call and see if that's available. So
I do know that all four of our locations have Saturday appointments.
Oh, nice.
Cheney's, it's 1 or 2 Saturdays a month. It's not every Saturday, but there are Saturday options for all four libraries.
That's great. Especially for people who work.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about?
From a business standpoint,
or financial?
Financial. Are you leading me toward Shred Day? Is that what you're doing?
If that's where we want to go.
So I know Shred Day is a super popular event, and I think there might be a tiny riot if we didn't have one in the spring and in the fall.
We try.
So our spring Shred Day will be on Saturday, April 20th, and it'll be both at Spokane Valley Library and North Spokane Library from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Or if the truck fills up. Once they're full, they can't take anymore.
So and we've had that happen a time or two. It is recommended to try to get there earlier than later.
And that's why we ask people to, did we say 1 or 2
I think it's
boxes?
2.
2 banker boxes full. So please don't bring, your past 40 years of.
Yep, 2. Sorry, I had to scanning for the word 2.
I should know, and I forgot there. But so it's a great service, but we do ask people to limit it to 2 banker boxes just so that we have the chance to help more folks get their documents shredded.
Yeah. That's good. That seems fair. Yeah. All right. Does anybody want to talk about some of our health wellness support programs? There's one coming up that we were all talking about before we started recording, because we all have parents who could benefit potentially or could have in the past.
Are you talking about a matter of balance?
A matter of balance.
I honestly feel like it might be time for me to start thinking about it.
You know what? I'm kind of there too.
No, this is a wonderful series, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember how many locations we have it scheduled for this spring.
We have it for 5, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 sessions.
Okay,
and you go
twice a week.
It's twice a week, and you go for 4 weeks. Okay. So it's 8 total sessions, and it's working with the aging and long-term care of Eastern Washington, and to help folks kind of learn some different things to prevent falling.
Yes.
Not autumn.
Correct. Yeah. And as you mentioned, we were chatting about this before the camera started rolling, and both of my parents have fallen in our house in the past year. And it's pretty scary.
It is.
You know, my dad he started doing PT so that he could get some strength built
good.
and like get himself off the floor. It was embarrassing to have, the fire department come and,
yes.
Sorry, Dad, I'm telling the story. You're never going to watch this anyway, so it's fine. But, he wants to make sure that's not going to happen again. But not everybody can afford to do that. So attending this series of classes would be super helpful.
And what I found interesting is some of it is some exercises. So you're doing some strengthening. You're doing some balance exercises to on the regular to build those muscles. Because I'm already noticing how many muscles are just sort of not like they used to be when I was younger. So
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good one too, that just, even if you're getting prepared for it, you might not be at that point yet, but it might be, you should be thinking about it.
Right.
And that could give you some good tools to use
for sure.
To hopefully that won't happen to you. Yeah.
And I'm thinking if I can get my mom to go, these tend to be in the afternoon. So I don't know if I could go, but if I can get her to go, that would be wonderful. Because she actually broke her arm like the first winter she was here, slipped on the ice, and that was, afraid of falling ever since. Of course, and that's part of the thing is that they kind of talk about is that fear of falling and how it will limit people from going out, doing activities, socializing, and just because there's that fear. So, sort of, it's some methods to change your mindset, and then to think about some things, and then also do exercises. So it's sort of a whole encompassing way to think about balance and preventing falls. It sounds great to me.
Yeah, that sounds like you read the blog.
I did read the blog. There's a blog post, by the way.
The blog is great. And that might give people a little bit more information,
yes,
too. So.
From Philip from AltQ. I don't know if I'm saying it's Aging and Long-Term Care of Eastern Washington. It's an excellent blog talking about all of those things, and also a few other things, like if you can't attend these programs, some other ways to go.
I will say that Philip and Aging and Long-Term Care are really excited that they've been able to partner with us, because it is something where you need space, because you're going to be at some points doing these exercises. They don't have a lot of space. So spoiler alert, I think this is something we'll be offering again in the summer.
I hope so.
So if people can't make the spring sessions,
that'd be great.
I'm pretty sure. And if not the summer, they might take a break in the summer. We'll probably do it in the fall.
Our meeting rooms have space.
Yes. Exactly. They sure do.
It's funny how that works out. All right. So there's also, this one I was very interested in watching is a documentary viewing of Wine, Women, and Dementia. And
that sounded really interesting.
And there'll be somebody from the documentary who's going to be there or be available to answer. I don't know if it's going to be through Zoom or actually in person.
Oh, yes.
To answer some questions. So check that out.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Medicare.
Yes, Medicare, and that's again with SHIBA, which is statewide, health insurance benefit advisor. I think I nailed it. Yay! Yes. They're also, they work cooperatively with Aging and Long-Term Care as well.
That's right.
And we've been really appreciative of the partnership with SHIBA. We offer monthly workshops with them. We're outside of the open enrollment period, which is typically, I think, October through November.
Maybe early December.
Yes.
Something like that.
That fourth quarter of the year.
Yeah.
But during the year, they do a lot of education because you need to start thinking about
Ahead of time.
You need to start thinking about what your plan is going to be. We have a colleague who's like in denial about the fact that her 65th birthday is coming up, and she would just prefer not to think about it.
Sure.
That is not the recommended
No,
approach.
it's not really. And I was the other day, I was like, honey, when does Medicare start again? He's like, I'm only 61. I'm going to be 60. I'm like, oh, okay. You got a few years. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to sign you up for a class. No, not yet.
And I'm the tech person in my family. My parents live with me. And so I've gone through that enrollment process with both of them.
Okay.
And it is really great to have a plan before, like getting them signed up. But
Nice.
like then actually enrolling is an extra step. But people think, oh yeah, Medicare covers everything, but it doesn't.
It doesn't.
So you've got to get the plan that's going to work with your medications.
Right.
And the folks from Sheba will work with you and are closer to, actually maybe all year round now they're doing these one-on-one. You can at any time call them and get a consultation, which is completely free. And these are
Nice.
unbiased representatives, so they're not making any money.
They're not representing any organization or entity. They're just there to help.
Right. They want to make sure that, if you bring a list of the medications you're taking, they can go through the different plan options with you and say, this plan would cover this plan would cover that. So really helpful information. And throughout the year, there's other topics that they do, like how to spot, like if you're suspecting that your doctor's office is maybe doing some fraudulent things with Medicare billing. They talk about how to watch that. And even just the basic, like getting started things to consider. And I was lucky enough, I got to host this program a couple times last year, and it was, I'm 55, so I'm not that far. It's out there a ways, but there was someone in her 50s who was there kind of planning ahead and also, looking at what her sister was going to need to do in the next couple of years. So
maybe I should start early with my husband. Plan ahead. I like that. Oh, there's so much going on, you guys.
We have a lot happening. I don't know how we did that.
I do want to talk about this, though, really quickly. Learning circles.
Yes,
and
learning circles.
And this is the Meet Our Neighbors kind of series of 3 different learning circles. Yeah.
And I should have done a little bit more homework, especially since I'm co-hosting one of these with Dana. But we have, as most people know, we've got a lot of refugees who have, thank you. Well, no, this part I know.
Oh, okay.
So many people are probably aware, we've Spokane is an area where they resettle refugee populations.
Sure.
And for years, Spokane, like as long as I've been working with the district, which I'm not going to say how long, we've definitely had a Marshallese population from the Marshall Islands. And then with all of the different conflicts going on in the world, our populations of Afghani and Ukrainian refugees has grown. So there's going to be a learning circle on each of those populations, their history and culture. So we'll get to learn more about customs and culture and history of the Ukraine, for example. I think that's the one I'm doing with Dana. I've got to double check, but it'll be a lot of fun and a way to learn more about the newer members of our community. And if you haven't done a learning circle before, it's really just a way to come together with a group. You're all interested in learning more. At the beginning of the first session, you decide on group norms, like, we're all going to give each other time to speak. We're going to be respectful.
I see.
That sort of thing. They're led by a librarian staff member who's also part of the learning circle, so not a subject matter expert.
So there's not like a teacher and a class. It's everybody. The circle concept is everybody's there equally learning.
Yep. Yeah. And questions will come up that the facilitator, the librarian, is not going to know.
Okay.
But the group can decide like, I'll take a look at that, or one of us will look at that for next week and see if we can find out some more information. So they're a lot of fun. I don't know if you've had a chance to do one.
I haven't had a chance to do one yet, but they seem like they'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we have some other art and culture and history programs that are newer. We're continuing with some world cooking classes, which we've been doing those for a little bit now. And every year we do some Irish music, in March. And we have 2 groups coming, Floating Crowbar and Arvid London and Deep Roots. And so check for those in March.
Nice.
And then I'm breezing through those. No offense, they're great. To get to there's a couple programs. One that talks about the civil rights movement, and one that talks about African American quilt history. So do you guys want to talk about either of those?
The African American quilt history I found fascinating. I'm considering going to that one just to learn a little bit more about that one. And so this is a professor who's coming to talk about it. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know too much about the extent of the content she's going to cover, just because of the time frame there. But I think she's going to give a good overview.
And she's going to show some examples and talk a little bit more about, I think, the culture and the people. And I think sometimes those aspects get left out of discussions and they just look at like the quilts themselves and not think about who created them, the person behind it.
Interesting, yes.
And so that's it. It does sound fascinating.
Yeah, it does.
And then the people of the movement, oral storytelling through voice, song, and gesture. I'm kind of excited for that one. Talking about the civil rights movement or singing and sharing and storytelling. Those will be in person at Moran Prairie and Spokane Valley, and that's presented by Sarah Lee Williams. So I'm looking forward to that one. Moran Prairie is right in my neighborhood.
Oh, yes, yes.
And so that's coming up on February 13th and 26th. So that's right away, right after this airs. So
mark your calendar.
And you don't need to sign up; just show up for that, and that sounds really cool.
That does.
Art show. It's going on now. Yeah. The submissions are. So make sure you get into your library early. There's a whole other podcast that you guys have seen about this, I'm sure. But if you haven't, get in there early, get your acrylic tile. It's a clear tile. The theme is through a window. So it's like, this is your window that you get to paint or decorate if you do some kind of collage on it. And then get that into the library by the end of the month, into February, and then art show in March. That sounds great.
Yeah. So much fun.
So busy. Ice Age floods.
Yes.
That's also in February.
Yes.
Right around the corner.
That one is great. We made one of my business team librarians, who works out in Cheney one day a week, made that connection. And I think it's fascinating. A lot of people don't realize we're on a floodplain. If you've ever been up to Arbor Crest and look out to the south, it's like, oh, that's 100% floodplain. Holy cow. So just kind of learning more about the history of the area and kind of what shaped the geography, the geologic formations and things like that. This is going to be really, really fascinating.
And I remember catching some episode on, I'm going to say, I don't know. What are some of those channels? National Geographic or PBS? Yes. Sure. And it was talking about the stream of water and then how if it went around a formation, but then it like cycloned down and it created, and then like how also the basalt, how the shape of those pillars, and that's because of the flood. And so I'm just fascinated. There's going to be 4 programs at 4 different libraries. Cheney is going to be talking about the channeled scablands out there. There's a talk at Argonne that's kind of just the overview of the Pacific Northwest. Right. Then out at Moran Prairie, they're going to be talking about the aquifer, the Spokane aquifer.
Which is very important to all of us.
Yes.
So let's learn about that.
And then at North Spokane, it's going to be sort of there will be like a history and geology, but then imagination, thinking about like, if you were paddling from Lake Missoula to the ocean, what would that look like back when
my gosh,
the water was coming through?
Great.
So a lot of cool stuff. If you're into history, geology, natural science, these programs are for you for sure.
They are.
All right, lots of stuff. Oh, Mary Ellen, bird watching.
I'm so excited about the bird watching program. I think because in our house we had a poster up of all the birds right by our back kitchen window so the kids could look out and see what we saw.
That's awesome.
And my husband went to school for wildlife biology, and he loved birds. So in Colorado, we used to do a lot walking through an environmental learning center. So this really caught my eye because there'll be a lecture and then there'll be a hike afterwards, so that you can kind of, once you learn about the birds, then you can go out and see if you can actually see them. And I can't remember all the locations. I know is Turnbull.
Turnbull out in Cheney, Waikiki Springs, North Spokane area, Saltese Flats out in the valley. And then we've got Bear Lake out in the Deer Park area and Medical Lake. So there's five opportunities to get an introduction to bird watching and then go on the hike and see the birds.
See what you can find out there. So it's, every once in a while I think, are we on a flight pattern, on a migration pattern, just because of what's coming through sometimes. So, so it's really interesting. They're so different. Birds are so much fun to watch. We used to love to watch the birds, but once we got 3 cats, we stopped putting stuff out. So, just getting out into nature, which, looking out the window, the past couple of weeks, we're more than ready to be outside.
Well, and there's also a program attracting birds to your yard. And also along with, so there's the bird watching Medical Lake hike, but there's also the geo walk and water sampling where you learn about the geology of the lake and they take water samples and usually pick up trash. And that's with a professor from Eastern Washington University. So I love that we get to continue to do that because it really connects people to their community and to what's going on right there in Medical Lake.
That's wonderful. Yes.
All right. Very cool.
In our quest to inspire the next generation of scientists, engineers, and innovators, the library offers a wide range of programs and resources on science, technology, engineering, and math, together referred to as STEM. For young explorers, our STEM programs ignite imagination and hands-on learning. Did you know you can design your own video game, code a robot, create a marble roller coaster, or try out exciting science experiments? Together, we make STEM fun. Your library also has STEM resources you can explore at home. You can check out books on great STEM topics and borrow cool stuff, like telescopes and exploration kits from our Library of Things. Unleash your creativity, foster innovation, and explore all that Spokane County Library District has to offer. We invite you to visit one of our libraries today.
Gardening. We have a ton of gardening programs.
Getting ready for
I'm going to just name them off.
Sounds like a plan.
Because there's so many. So, and these are happening from February through May. And we have growing and caring for orchids. We have amazing native pollinators. That was a mouthful. Soil science for your garden. Composting 101. Those might be 2 to go to if you're having some soil issues. Plant propagation from seeds and cuttings. Gardening with native plants. No-dig gardening.
I like the sound of that.
Doesn't that's intriguing.
That's intriguing
that might be up my alley. Vegetable gardening 101. We always have so far we've always had our Master Gardeners plant clinic, and that usually runs May through October, and it's certain Fridays a month in the afternoon out at Cheney Library, so folks can check that out. And then at a few libraries we have our starter plant swap and our seed libraries.
Yes.
And I will say we've had a couple of this plant swaps. They've been super popular, like lots of people.
Yeah, so if you have starters and you've got a bunch and you're like, well, I don't need all of these, you bring the ones you don't need to the library so other people can take them. And then you take some other ones of something different so that you can try those out.
Right on. Yeah. Yep.
That's what a swap is. Yep. All right, so gardening, composting. I want to give a shout out to 2 things. We're having our annual food drive in April. And this was started as a way to forgive fines. And that still happens. If you have some fines, we no longer have late fees for overdue stuff. We do have lost item fees. Right. But anyway, but we still want to do a food drive. A lot of people do food drives around certain holidays, Thanksgiving stuff. And I think as we get into spring, people don't think about it so much that people are still have food insecurity, and especially kids that might need that. So April 7th through the 13th, bring in some non-perishable food to the library, some cans, some boxes of pasta, whatever you got, and help us out. And we're going to distribute those out to food banks, local community kitchens, for wherever your library is. So I just want to give a shout out to that.
Yes.
Also in April is Library Giving Day. This is amazing. Do you know about this, Mary Ellen, what we're doing for Library Giving Day, what we're raising money for?
No, I don't actually.
Okay. We're raising money to give every child who signs up for summer reading a book.
Yes.
So we have a goal.
I didn't know.
Nice. That was good pretending. So anyway, last year we had like 900 kids sign up for summer reading, and this isn't a prize like read so much and get a book. This is you get a book out the door because we want to give you something to start reading for summer right away. Right. And so this is raising funds for that. We're hoping to get books for over 1,000 children, and this is from age 0 to 18. We're basically every child, baby, teen, tween. So that's exciting.
Yes. So we really wanted to give out books at the beginning of summer reading so that they have something to start with.
Yes.
A lot of times a lot of programs give it out at the end, and then, we don't get as many kids coming in for that free book. And we haven't given out free books in so long. We are so excited about this to get a book into as many kids' hands as we can.
And this is led by the Library Foundation of Spokane County, and the foundation is a great entity that raises money for things like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you to the Library Foundation. We are thrilled we've been able
and to everybody who is planning to donate for that. And that is on April 3rd. And if you get your copy of Engage, there's a QR code. You just scan it. It takes you right to the website, and you can just put in your donation. Super easy peasy.
Very nice.
We make it easy for you. All right. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about?
I can't imagine.
I think we've talked about everything from babies through seniors. So just remember, there's always something for everyone in here, especially this round of Engage. We've got a lot going on.
There's a lot.
I'd love to see everyone in the library.
Don't forget all the technology at this lab in the studio.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Sign up for those. All right. So check out Engage. You'll be able to find it online if you aren't able to get in and get your copy at the library at scld.org/engage. We'll try to make it easy for you. Nice. And I hope we see you all at all these programs. And you'll probably see a little bit of Stacy and Mary Ellen if you come to the library. Isn't that's fabulous? Yeah. So, all right. We'll see you this winter, spring, and have a great day.